They told you life peaks in your 20s, that by 30 you should have it all figured out, that after 40 you're past your prime. They lied to you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever woken up and felt like your life doesn't belong to you? Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, is this all there is? Do you feel like time is slipping away, but deep down you know you haven't even begun to live? Listen to me. You have been programmed to believe that youth is everything, that if you haven't made it by now, it's too late. But Carl Jung, he knew the truth. Life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research. And you've been doing the research. The heartbreaks, the failures, the moments of doubt, they weren't mistakes. They were your training ground. But tell me, what if your best years aren't behind you, but ahead? What if the version of you that you were always meant to be is still waiting? What if everything you've been through was just preparation for the most powerful phase of your life? Because this is not the end. This is your awakening. Your real life, it starts now. Think back to when you were a child. Before the world shaped you, before the expectations, before the masks. Do you remember who you were? Back then, you didn't think about whether you were good enough. You didn't measure your worth by success, relationships, or achievements. You just existed fully and freely. You played, you dreamed, you followed what felt exciting. But somewhere along the way, that changed, didn't it? So tell me, when was the first time you felt the pressure to be something instead of just being? When did you start measuring yourself against invisible standards? When did you stop asking yourself, what do I truly want? And start asking, what is expected of me? Carl Jung called this the first half of life, the time when we build our external world, our career, our relationships, our status. We are taught to chase security, to be successful, to fit in. But there's something they never told you. The first half of life is a trap. Jung described something called the persona, the mask you wear to survive in society. The role you play, the version of yourself that keeps you accepted and safe. Think about it. How much of your personality is truly you, and how much is shaped by what others wanted you to be? Have you ever felt like you're playing a role rather than living a life? Have you ever sacrificed your real self just to belong? Jung warned, the world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you. And that's exactly what happened. The world told you. It told you how to behave, what to believe, what to value. So you obeyed. You worked hard. You did what you were supposed to do. And yet, something always felt off. But instead of questioning the world, you questioned yourself. Maybe you told yourself, I should be happy. I have everything I was told to want. Maybe I'm just overthinking things. This is just how life is, right? But deep down you knew. You knew there was something more. Then one day the illusion starts to break. At first it's subtle. You start noticing things. The way small talk feels hollow. The way success doesn't feel as fulfilling as you thought it would. The way you catch yourself longing for something you can't quite name. Then it becomes undeniable. You start waking up. You begin questioning your choices. Why did I take this job? Was it really my passion, or was it just practical? Am I in this relationship because I love this person, or because I fear being alone? If I stripped away everything, my job, my status, my titles, who would I be? And that question terrifies you. Because the truth is you don't know. You've spent decades building a life based on an idea of who you were supposed to be. But what if that idea was never really yours? Jung said, what was great in the morning will be little at evening, and what in the morning was true will at evening have become a lie. And that's where you are. The life you built in the first half of life is starting to feel like a lie. And now you have a choice. You can keep pretending. You can keep chasing the things you once thought would make you happy, hoping that one day they finally will. Or you can face the truth. You can step into the unknown. You can let go of the old version of yourself and begin the process of becoming who you were truly meant to be. But that is not an easy path. It requires courage. It requires facing your deepest fears. It requires something Jung called individuation, the process of breaking free from the false self and integrating the real one. So let me ask you, are you ready to let go of the life you were told to live? Are you willing to confront the parts of yourself you've ignored? Are you strong enough to step into the unknown and become the person you were always meant to be? Because if you are, then the journey starts now. In the next part of this video, we will go even deeper. We will explore the shadow, the hidden side of yourself that you've been afraid to face. We will uncover the truth about why you feel lost, why you feel stuck, and why your deepest desires and fears are two sides of the same coin. And if you're ready for that, if you are truly ready to go beyond the illusion and step into the most powerful phase of your life, then keep watching, because the next part will reveal the hidden force that has been shaping your destiny all along. And once you see it, you will never be the same again. And if you're finding value in this, if something inside you is resonating, take a moment, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Because the more people wake up, the more we step into a world of truth, depth, and self-realization. You have spent your entire life being half of yourself, the part of you that the world accepted, the part that was praised, rewarded, and loved, became your persona, the mask you wear for society. But tell me, what about the parts of you that weren't accepted? The thoughts you were told not to have, the desires you were told were wrong, the emotions you were forced to swallow. Where do you think those parts went? They did not disappear. They became your shadow. Carl Jung called the shadow the unconscious part of yourself, the traits, desires, and emotions you have rejected, buried, or denied. Think about it. Have you ever felt intense anger but forced yourself to smile? Have you ever wanted something deeply but convinced yourself you shouldn't? Have you ever had a moment where you acted in a way you didn't expect, snapping at someone, feeling sudden jealousy, or doing something reckless, and wondered, where did that come from? It came from your shadow. You were taught to suppress these things, to be polite, agreeable, rational, to reject the parts of yourself that were labeled as wrong. But Jung warned, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And here's the truth. Until you face your shadow, it will control you. Your shadow doesn't just sit in the dark. It influences every part of your life. Every time you overreact, every time you sabotage yourself, every time you find yourself stuck in the same toxic patterns, that is your shadow acting from the depths of your unconscious. Think about your relationships. Have you ever been drawn to people who mirror your deepest wounds? Have you ever pushed someone away, even though you wanted love? Have you ever feared being truly seen, because deep down you think they might not love the real you? That is your shadow speaking. And in your career, have you ever avoided risks because you're afraid of failure? Have you ever felt like a fraud, no matter how much you achieve? Have you ever silenced your voice, holding back your ideas because a part of you whispers, you're not good enough? That is your shadow speaking. Your shadow doesn't just hide your fears, it hides your power. Because the parts of you that you rejected, the confidence, the ambition, the wild creativity, the deep desires, were never truly bad. They were just too powerful for the world to handle. But you can no longer run from them. At some point in your life, perhaps you are already there, you will experience what Jung called the dark night of the soul. This is when everything you have built, everything you have believed about yourself, begins to fall apart. The relationships that once made sense, they start to feel wrong. The career you worked so hard for, it no longer excites you. The person you thought you were, you start to realize it was never the whole truth. And in that moment you feel lost. Tell me, have you ever felt like life is forcing you to change, even when you're not ready? Have you ever felt like the things you once loved no longer bring you joy? Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror and not recognized who you are anymore? That is your awakening, because the life you built in the first half of life, it wasn't truly yours. Jung said, "We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life." The old self, the false self, it is breaking away, and now the real you is emerging. But you have a choice. You can resist it. You can cling to the past, holding on to the identity that no longer fits. You can numb yourself with distractions, pretend you don't feel the shift happening inside of you. Or you can step into the unknown. You can face your shadow. You can integrate the parts of yourself you have been afraid to embrace. You can become whole. So tell me, are you ready to stop running from yourself? Are you ready to face the truths you have been avoiding? Are you ready to reclaim the parts of you that were buried in the dark? Because this is your moment of transformation. The old version of you is dying. The masks are falling away. And in the next part of this video, we will explore the path forward. We will dive into individuation, the process of becoming your true, most powerful self. We will uncover how to integrate your shadow, how to reclaim the life that was always meant to be yours, and how to step fully into the second half of your life with clarity, confidence, and purpose. Because if you've made it this far, then something inside you is waking up. And once you start this journey, there is no going back. So keep watching. Because in the next part, you will finally learn who you truly are. You have spent your entire life being someone else. The version of you shaped by family, by teachers, by culture. The version of you that was safe, acceptable, predictable. But tell me, who would you be if no one told you who to be? What would your life look like if you weren't trying to meet anyone's expectations? What if the person you've been searching for has been inside you all along, waiting to be set free? This is what Carl Jung called individuation, the process of shedding the false self and stepping into your true essence. And make no mistake, this is the most important transformation of your life. At some point, you have to accept something painful. The person you thought you were must die, not physically, but psychologically. Jung said, "We cannot live the afternoon of life according to the program of life's morning. The ambitions, the roles, the beliefs that once defined you, they do not fit anymore. And trying to force them will only bring suffering. So tell me, what parts of yourself are you holding on to, even though they no longer feel true? What old dreams are you still chasing, even though they no longer excite you? What fears are keeping you from stepping into the life you truly desire? At some point, you must let it all go. Individuation is not about becoming someone new. It is about becoming whole. It is about integrating every part of yourself, the light and the dark, the desires and the fears, the persona and the shadow. Because here's the truth, you cannot heal what you refuse to face. Think about your life. How many times have you silenced yourself to avoid discomfort? How often have you played small because you were afraid of being too much? How many times have you rejected the real you just to be accepted by others? Jung said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents." But now you must ask yourself, how much of your life has been truly yours? How much of your identity was shaped by others? How many decisions did you make out of fear rather than desire? And more importantly, are you ready to take your power back? Let's be honest. This process is terrifying, because when you start individuating, when you start becoming who you truly are, something happens. People resist you. Friends may drift away. Family may not understand. Society may label you as selfish, rebellious, even crazy. Why? Because your transformation forces them to confront their own illusions. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But not everyone is ready for that privilege. Some people will spend their entire lives living in the persona, trapped in the expectations of others. But you You are here because something inside of you knows there is more. So tell me, are you willing to lose people in order to find yourself? Are you ready to break free from the roles that no longer fit you? Are you prepared to walk alone if that's what it takes to step into your truth? Because this is the price of freedom. But here's the secret they never told you. On the other side of fear, there is peace. On the other side of the false self, there is authenticity. And once you taste it, once you truly step into who you were meant to be, you will never go back. So here's the question. Who will you be now? Not the person your past shaped. Not the person society expects. Not the version of you that plays it safe. But the real you, the version of you that is unshaken, unafraid, and unapologetically alive. This is the moment. The old life is behind you. The false self is fading. And in the next part of this video, we are going to explore what happens after individuation. How to step into the second half of life with true purpose, clarity, and power. Because if you've made it this far, if something inside of you is stirring, awakening, coming alive, then your journey is just beginning. And once you take this step, there is no turning back. So keep watching, because the next part will show you how to step fully into the life you were always meant to live. You have spent years searching for something. Maybe you didn't even know what it was. A sense of purpose? A feeling of peace? A deep, unshakable knowing that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Tell me, have you ever felt like something inside you is waiting to be awakened? Have you ever sensed that there is more to life, but you couldn't quite put it into words? Have you ever longed for something real, something beyond the illusions, beyond the expectations, beyond the noise? If you are still watching this, it is because something inside of you is ready. This is the moment when everything changes. This is the moment you realize your life does not end at 40. It begins. Carl Jung wrote, "The first half of life is devoted to forming a healthy ego. The second half is going inward and letting go of it." The first half of life was about building your identity, your career, your relationships, your place in the world. But the second half, it is about meaning. It is about waking up every day knowing why you are here. What if, for the first time in your life, you stopped chasing and started living? What if you no longer needed approval from anyone because you finally approved of yourself? What if every single experience, every heartbreak, every struggle was not wasted, but preparing you for something greater? This is not the time to shrink. This is not the time to fear aging, to mourn the past, to hold on to the life you have outgrown. This is the time to expand, the path forward, how to step fully into your true life. So now the real question is, what happens next? You have shed the illusions. You have faced your shadow. You have broken free from the false self. Now you must ask yourself, what do I want the second half of my life to look like? What will I no longer tolerate? What am I finally ready to step into? Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." You have spent enough time looking outside for answers, for validation, for direction. Now it is time to look within. Because you already know, deep down you already know who you are meant to be. You already know what needs to change. You already know what is calling you forward. You already know the life you are meant to live. The only thing left is to step into it. So let me ask you, what are you going to do with this moment? You have two choices. You can walk away from this video, go back to your routine, and pretend nothing has changed. You can push this awakening down, ignore it, and continue living the life you were given. Or you can embrace it. You can decide right now that you will no longer sleepwalk through life, that you will no longer be held back by fear, by expectations, by the weight of who you used to be, that you will step fully into the person you were always meant to be. Because here's the truth, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you the life you desire. No one is going to give you permission to be your true self. You must claim it. and you must claim it now. So if this resonated with you, if something inside of you feels alive right now, then don't let this moment pass. Take action. If this video spoke to you, leave a comment below. Tell me what part of your old life you are finally ready to let go of. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, someone who is standing at the same crossroads. And if you're truly ready to go deeper, to continue this journey of self-discovery and transformation, then subscribe, because this is just the beginning. Your real life starts now. And the only question is, are you ready to live it?